Howdy gang, and welcome back to Pool School. In today's episode, we're going to talk about pool chemical storage, do's and don'ts. So what do you say we jump right in? Alrighty, before we get going, I want to thank you once again for watching my video. Remind you to like it if you do, subscribe to my channel if you've not done so already, and please share my channel with everyone you know who owns a pool and is looking to maybe save some bucks servicing their pool themselves. Alrighty, so I've had some requests about storing chemicals, and I just thought I'd give you my suggestions about storing chemicals. People get concerned about the safety of them and storing chemicals and things like that, and that's a genuine concern. So I wanted to talk to you about that a little bit. So first of all, I'm going to turn my video camera around, so hold on. Alrighty, for me, normally I keep my pool chemicals and my pool supplies in the back of my truck because I service pools frequently during the week. But for most people, they just have one pool and they want to store their chemicals. So I want to show you some things you need to do and things you don't want to do that will help you store them safely. Alrighty, so when I'm wanting to store my pool chemicals, or maybe I stock up on some chemicals, this is where I actually store mine. Obviously, this is my backyard and I have a storage shed, but I do not put my chemicals in this. Even though I can open windows and things, I'd rather have something more ventilated. So this is what I use. And when we bought the house, this chicken wire enclosure didn't have a top on it, and it was used as a dog run, which really didn't make me happy because in the summertime, it's just too hot for dogs to be sitting outside in Arizona. But I had a friend of mine just put this roof on it and just put some shingles on it, and I put this is just, it used to go on the back of my truck. It was a cover, and I never used it, so I took it off and I just strapped it to this side so it provides protection from the sun. Notice that. And then on this side over here, I had this shade cloth and I just strapped it up. And what that does, it gives it good ventilation and adequate protection from the sun. And I usually just put my chemicals right there. So there are three really important points when it comes to storing your chemicals. And I'm gonna go over them in order, and I would highly recommend that you follow them for safety purposes. Because yeah, the fumes of chemicals, they are dangerous, they can be toxic, they can hurt your people, little kids. They also can be explosive, so you want to be very careful about that. So the first thing you want to do when you store your chemicals, number one, make sure that you store the chemicals in a well ventilated area or shed or whatever that is protecting the chemicals and the containers from direct sunlight. Okay, that's number one. So make sure your storage area is well ventilated and out of direct sunlight. Okay, number two, you want to make sure that you keep all your chemicals in their original containers with the lids tightly closed. Okay, that's super important. Now, there's certain occasions where people will buy like a bag of soda ash and it comes in a bag, and then it's like, well, where do I store that? Well, soda ash is not super dangerous, so to speak, as long as kids can't get their hands on it. You can just roll up the bag and just stick it on the side in your storage unit. If you want to, you could get an empty plastic container. Sometimes I will use like one of my empty chlorine tablet containers to put like my bicarbonate of soda or things like that. But if you do that, make absolutely certain that you wash out thoroughly that container so you're not mixing the chemicals, because that could prove fatal. It could also be explosive, so you don't want to do that. So make sure you clean out the container completely, let it dry out, and then you can maybe store the other chemicals in that. But basically, I would say number two, remember, store all your chemicals in their original containers with the lids tightly closed. Okay? Hey, real quickly, I wanted to show you an example of using a different storage container or an empty chemicals container for something else. So you notice I've got the top of this listed soda ash. So what's in here is soda ash, but it came in a bag, like a paper bag, and I didn't want it getting wet, and the bag deteriorating. So I put it in this. Now, this is obviously a bucket, a 25-pound bucket. It was empty. when I did this, of Pool Season's Super Algae Destroyer, which is trichlor shock. But what I did was I made absolutely sure, and again, it's really critical, make absolutely certain that you clean out the container so there's no residue of the chemical that was previously in there before you add any other chemical. Because I know that some chemicals, when they blend together, can be very, very dangerous, if not explosive. So that's just an example of how I will sometimes use an old container to store something else, but making sure that it's cleaned out perfectly. And number three is really important. Store your chemicals in a place that, again, was well ventilated and away from direct sunlight, but also doesn't allow small children to have access to. So if you notice my lean-to, hold on, we'll go to it again. If you notice my lean-to here, I have a latch here. So I have two small grandchildren and they can't even reach that. One of them's 2.5 and the other one's barely crawling. But I can always put a lock there, or even just a clip that will prevent them from getting in there. So that's how I keep them safe from accessing that. So the third thing is, make sure that wherever you store them, again, well ventilated and away from direct sunlight, is also not accessible or inaccessible to small children. So gang, that is my video. Very short, albeit, but sometimes it's nice to make it short and sweet, on pool chemical storage, do's and don'ts. So I hope that made sense. I hope it was helpful. If you have any comments or questions, remember, you're always free to post it in the comment section below this video. Or if you like, you can email me directly, and my email address is going to come across the bottom of the screen. As always, it is kennypoolschool@gmail.com. Once again, kennypoolschool@gmail.com. Two quick things before we go. Number one, if you'd like to get a hat like this one, the good people at Sunday mornings or Sunday afternoons provided this hat for me, because my original one, I still use it. It's over 20 years old, but it's the best hat I've ever had. And if you'd like to get one of these, I'll put a link in the description below this video so you can go and order one of those hats. And if you do order a hat like this, please make sure you tell them that Pool School or Kenny at Pool School referred you, okay? And then the last thing I want to also mention is that we are kind of at the end of the swim season now when this video is being made. And so I thought it was a good time to do a video on storing pool chemicals, because a lot of times you're not going to have going through them so much. And so you might want to put them away for a little bit, especially some of you who live in places where you close down your pool. And I have never done a video on closing down a pool, just because I have no experience with it, because we live in Arizona and we just don't have a need to do that. So I apologize to those of you who live in an area like that. I just don't have an expertise on that, and I'd rather not comment on something I don't really know about. But the other thing is, I did a video that I'll put a link in the description of this video about things that you can do during the off season to your pool that you might not necessarily be able to do during the regular swim season. So I really highly recommend you click on that link, check that video out. And as always, remember, if you like the video, please click that you like it. If you have any questions, you can post them. Remember to subscribe to my channel and share it with your friends. And until we meet again, remember, have fun, be safe, and even though the swim season's over, always, always, always watch those kids and pets and elderly people around water. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.